You.
All right. Okay. So I'm live now. So hi guys, we're back.
We're live too on Facebook.
Technology will not defeat us.
Alan Shaw, Portneski, Jason Douglas.
Right.
Three stooges. I mean, the three people, the three gentlemen.
Connected Common Sense News and Entertainment.
All right. I don't know what you guys were talking about before, but I have to bring up something very important if you guys don't mind.
Well, I was talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I was talking about Iran. And I was talking about your friend and mine. Your friend and mine. You never heard of him. John Phelan. Our now former Secretary of the Navy.
Oh, is he fired today?
Yes.
For what?
Yes. Well, are you familiar with the concept of the buried lead?
The buried lead?
The buried lead. In other words, when you read a story, the real main point, the meat of the whole issue is usually buried somewhere in the middle of the story.
Okay.
It's not the headline. It's not the first paragraph. It's down, and then you have to know how to find it. Okay.
It's usually woven in throughout the story, but okay.
Okay. Well, not much weaving to do here because apparently Mr. Phelan was also on Epstein's logs for flying to Island.
Geez.
Okay.
Epstein thing has gotten into our military now.
Yeah, well, it's just, but the point I always like to make with things like this, when they take us by surprise, there's a very important question you need to ask. And that question is, why now? Why are you firing him now? Why not last week, last month, last year, or next month? Why now? Okay. And you'll find, if you look hard enough, there are some extenuating circumstances. And the thing about Epstein could be just more misleading stuff. There could be some other reason that's the real reason. But for my money, well, first of all, the Secretary of the Navy, I don't see as having much more than an oversight role to play. So with all the things that are going on in the Strait of Hormuz and what the Navy is doing, he doesn't have any input. What does he know? Okay. Battles in the Hormuz, the U.S. Navy has been wargaming since I don't know when. Okay. And they've been planning on this since I don't know when. So what's he going to contribute to it? So if that's the case, then why get rid of him? So maybe some other reason. We'll see. So the guy who's replacing him has the weird name Hung Cao, Hungcao. That's the new acting Secretary of the Navy.
Oh.
Okay, Hung Cao, Cao. Boy, that has a funny ring to it.
I'm having trouble being optimistic for the United States right now.
Wait, you were optimistic just a little while ago. What happened?
There's something that is on my mind right now that I got. It's a new story. We're on the cutting edge here on our podcast. We're on top of everything.
Yes,
we'll break another story.
Well, just to make it all right, what we were talking about last night was how Trump had said that he was extending the ceasefire, but before the ink dried, the IRGC turned around and said, "We reject your ceasefire."
Yeah,
that's still not being reported in the mainstream news. Still. Not Fox News, not anybody.
Yeah, well, the fight is here.
But except
the fight is not in Iran; it's here.
Got that audience. We're the ones who are pointing out that the IRGC is still pretending to be a hard ass. So here's the thing: if you did not know that the IRGC had told Trump with his extending of the ceasefire, something like this or whatever the Muslim equivalent is, that no sooner did that happen than what? They launched attacks on the Kurds again. Okay. And there have been other attacks in other areas. So, there and the thing with the ships. Okay. There's a failure here to take enough information, which is right in front of you, and to take the time and trouble to, oh my God, I'm going to say it, connect the dots. They're not doing it. I'm not doing it. So I don't know what to say.
I'm having trouble concentrating on any topic right now other than the one that I heard about an hour ago.
And that was?
That there's well, first of all, before I give you this story here.
Yeah.
the Democratic Party in America, is pretty much rooting for Iran in this war.
That's right.
They are.
Sure.
They're not on our side. Guys like
No
Chris
question.
Murphy, and
No question.
they're literally not on our side. They're on the side of Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Right. Yeah.
it's not too easy to make the leap. Then, if we got Chris Murphy rooting for Iran openly on the air, it's not too easy to make the leap that they're committing, treason, borderline. But if they're actually helping the enemy, they're actually participating in the fight against the United States here in America.
Okay, well, in the modern day, the concept of aid and comfort takes on a certain cast.
There's
right?
a new battlefront besides the Strait of Hormuz I want to bring up.
So, in the olden days, all right, aid and comfort would mean that we would have given secrets to the enemy, we would have given them weapons, we would have given them.
Or how about burning our food supply in the Midwest to help Iran? How about that? How about destroying our food supply?
What? What are you talking about?
The United States, yeah.
What?
How about that?
Where? What?
I'm opening up a new battlefront in this war, and it's our Midwestern farms.
What are you talking about?
You better be on high alert.
Explain yourself.
I'm hearing stories, and I don't know what's going on, but I'm hearing from stories that on this day, that there was attempts to make that the crops in Minnesota, Iowa, Colorado, California, and Georgia have been burning. It's fortunate that rain in the area, rain has tempered it, but apparently there's now an attempt to destroy our food supply here in the United States.
All right. Well, it's a big country. We grow a lot of food.
We do.
Covers a lot of square miles. It's hard to see how you could expect a lot of the food supply to be destroyed that way. It's going to be.
If you have an enemy from within, the Democratic Party and the brass behind it, George Soros, guys like that.
Are the Democrats setting the fire in the fields in the Midwest?
Yep.
Alan, you got to help me out here.
Listen,
I don't know if they are, but they're definitely got people.
They're responsible for the COVID pandemic. So if they can do that, they can do anything.
This is a little bit more extreme. And by the way, since you bring that up, remember who here remembers the 100+ food processing facilities that had fires and explosions and other problems during COVID? Who remembers that?
I remember that, but I'm not talking about in terms of attacking the food supply to eliminate our food supply. I'm talking about attacking our food supply to drive up and continue to keep prices of food high, to drive up inflation.
All right. Well, if you're trying to
burn it all to do that.
Yeah. All right. So then you'd have to see evidence of inflation as a result. And I would say
I'm going to submit that this battlefront is opening up right now. This new battlefront in this war is opening up right here in the United States now, and we're going to. I don't know what the media is going to do about it, but we're going to see over the next couple months if what I'm saying is correct. I don't want to labor too much time on it right now, but I will say that it's something we should be watchful for.
Mm-hmm.
Economically speaking, it would be put yourself again in the shoes of the enemy, and the Democratic Party, unfortunately, is the enemy from within right now.
On that, there is absolutely no question.
They just are. They're not just a political opponent anymore.
All right. So here's the issue.
I'm thinking of it that way.
You're getting away with it because we're technically not at war. All right. So here's the other point to consider. What's left of the Iranian Navy has avoided direct attacks on the U.S. Navy.
Okay. Wisely so, from their standpoint.
Well, wisely so for at least two reasons. One, incurring the wrath of a more powerful foe. But the other is if you have one military attacking another military, I'm sorry, that falls pretty much into the classic category of an act of war.
Right.
Okay. So
Congress hasn't declared war since what, 1942?
Something like that. Yeah, right. So this would be one of those situations where all the idiots in Congress are going to have to stop and say, wait a second here. Looks like we got to rethink what's going on in the Middle East. Yeah, you do have to go rethinking it. It's because, 47 years of death to America, you might want to rethink it.
I wonder, from a legal standpoint, if Congress were to formally declare war,
yes,
what would that do here domestically? Would that give us more ability to, start picking treasonous Democrats off and putting them where they belong, behind bars?
I think it would.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think it would.
I mean,
Because again,
Mhm.
treason requires aid and comfort to an enemy. And technically, while we're not at war, can we be said to have an enemy?
Yeah, I understand that.
it's pretty clear. All right. So then the question becomes, if you have an enemy, what constitutes supporting the enemy rather than
Well,
fighting?
now, here's the other interesting thing. There have been cases of treason during peacetime. During the Cold War, which wasn't a declared war, we had people aiding the Russians. They were arrested for treason.
You're not talking about the Rosenbergs, are you?
No, but I am going to bring them up because remember what the difference between treason during time of peace and treason during time of war is?
Oh, okay. What is the difference?
The penalty.
Oh, that's
After the Rosenbergs, one penalty came off the table for peacetime treason.
I see.
We declare war, that penalty's back on the table.
Death. Okay.
Well,
so if the death penalty's off the table, then what's still on the table during peacetime?
I would assume up to life in prison. I don't know. What did
I would think so too.
who was the guy that just died in prison? The FBI agent who was spying for the Russians.
Oh, was it Aldrich Ames?
Yes,
Okay.
just died a couple of months ago.
Right. Okay.
well, can we also talk about the nuances of freedom of speech too?
The
And we
nuances-
all learned in school that there are exceptions to freedom of speech. The
Yeah.
main one being the old fire in the crowded theater theory, right? And so, what's the legalese behind that? Well, fire is you're bringing up a dangerous situation, what's not there, in order to scare people and cause havoc, right? Now, how's that different than going on the air and saying we have Hitler in our White House, we need to take to the streets, when they know full well that Trump is not Hitler? They're creating a dangerous situation in order to create fear and chaos, are they not?
Well, I think the
How's
big
that
difference
different?
is whether the Democrats like it or not.
How is it different though? How are you not yelling? How is a guy like Jimmy Kimmel not yelling fire in a crowded theater when he goes on TV? Basically,
he
gives
is,
his
but
audience the impression that
If
you have
it's
a- you have a
pro-Democrat,
dictator
it's
in the
allowed.
land.
If it's pro-Republican, it's not allowed. That's just the way America works now.
Right, but I'm getting down to yeah. I mean, that's the reality of it. I suppose.
Burning
I
the
can't argue with you,
burning the
but-
American flag is free speech, according to the Democrats.
Well,
Burning
see,
the
there's
pride
the
flag
thing
or the ISIS flag is a hate crime.
No, that's one of the few areas now. The burning of the flag thing always gets me in trouble with right wingers, and here's why. Burning of the flag is protected by free speech, whether you like it or not.
See, I don't think
I
it is
it's
because
pitiful. I think it's a horrible thing to do, and I think if you do it, your neighbors should never talk to you again. And they should picket your house, maybe, because they can do that too.
well,
But
here's the
burning the
interesting
flag,
thing: what is freedom of the speech, or freedom of speech? Because when you start talking about flag burning, can you be exercising your freedom of speech without speaking? Can an act be speech?
Yeah, Eric can't help himself. All right, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it just to embarrass you.
I know I get in trouble with this burning the flag thing every time.
How's it not breaking wind?
I have
when
to look
you
at my MAGA hat to prove I'm a MAGA guy again here, but not that I would ever burn a flag. I think it's a horrible thing to do. But at the end, you can't put somebody in jail for burning an object. I mean, it's an object. We lost Alan.
Yeah, what happened? I don't know.
Did I make him mad?
No, he probably had to address something at home.
No, I know.
Oh, no, Aaron, Alan, what happened? Oh, jeez.
It's like abortion. I mean, that's how I used to feel about abortion. I've changed my mind on that one over the years, though. I'm very much pro-life now, 100%. Card carrying.
All right. See, I don't know if I can just get him back when he just disappears like that.
I don't know.
All right. Anyway, I just sent him a text message. Oh, you're back. Okay.
Back.
So what happened, Alan?
I don't know, a little tech thing. All of a sudden, this screen switched to a different website, and I'm going to go with Gremlins.
Gremlins. Okay. All right.
Same Gremlins that knocked me out of my Quartify app there now lately.
All right.
In the middle of jamming.
But, you think about it, when we talk about freedom of speech,
Yeah.
are we misusing them? Because let's look at the First Amendment. There's the freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, all encompassed in one amendment.
Mm-hmm.
If I print a broadside up and go staple it to a tree or nail it to a church door, is that speech or press?
Well, if you're
Well, look, we know that money has been ruled a form of speech.
both
So-
are protected, but putting it on the church door, that's a whole other thing. Now you're putting on something on somebody else's.
Well,
No.
okay, but I mean, if I put it on the city hall's door,
You don't remember we did that?
yes.
We did that in New Haven.
Oh, you guys putting something on City Hall door in New Haven?
Yes, this
What
was
hotel was this?
this was at a time when they were bringing in all these immigrant kids who were unaccompanied.
The Obama thing.
Yeah, so we held it was one of the more memorable protests. We got a bunch of because it was considered unhealthy, dangerous to public health, as well as other concerns. We all got white lab coats and stethoscopes.
Yep.
And then there was some person who had a drum. Don't ask me why, but bang, bang, bang. All right. And then, we had people speaking, and then the culmination was this note about this whole thing, which was then slipped into the front door of City Hall. It was on a Sunday. Making her case. Yeah, I remember that.
You know what I remember most about that whole time? Well, there were two things. Two people we met with that were very interesting people. One, I remember meeting with the mayor of Meriden at the time, who I believe was a Democrat. I don't remember.
Meriden. No.
But I remember going there to Meriden City Hall, sitting down with them because they were having a lot of the.
Was
yeah,
that
because
you?
a lot of these kids were being dropped off in Meriden.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why, but Meriden was where these kids were being brought.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing was, I got the feeling that he was not on our side, but he was willing to sit and listen to us and have a discussion like an adult.
Okay.
He seemed like a perfectly reasonable person.
Wasn't that Manny Santos?
Might have been. I'm not sure.
Well, he's one of us. Manny.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But the other guy I remember who I think had one of the more interesting things to say was a guy who I think was like the number 2 or 3 guy at DCF.
Oh, Jesus.
DCF has a lot of facilities in Meriden. A lot of
right now. DCF was. I remember meeting with the DCF guy in the meeting in. I want to say he was up in New Haven when we met in New Haven.
Okay.
And what he said that was very interesting at the time when you had all these immigrant kids coming in. He said they were getting calls to DCF wanting to adopt these kids specifically.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, we've had kids in foster care for years in Connecticut. He says, if you want to adopt a kid, I have kids for you. You go through the background check. I can place kids. He says, but I cannot guarantee you that you're going to get one of these new, fresh, by a migrant kid like Madonna. He says, but we have kids who need homes. And seemed like he was actually distressed that people were calling because they wanted the new kind of kid. They didn't want the regular kid. They wanted the new improved kid.
Well, then again, such people would probably not make good parents to begin with.
Well, you're right. But I just thought that was interesting that people would call up and say, I saw in the news that you're bringing new kids in, and I want one of those new kids.
Yeah, it is disturbing. But I think this reflects the same kind of illness. It's kith and kin to Trump derangement syndrome. It's kith and kin to every progressive, wacky idea with this transgenderism, LGBTQ, or whatever. These things that almost have a faddish quality to them. And there's another one. So that's how I see it. I don't know. What do you think?
On another note, a guy named we're talking about going to city halls and pasting things on doors. John Flynn.
Yes.
You guys know who John Flynn is, right? Those of you who don't, John Flynn is a patriot, former political prisoner here in Connecticut, and now potentially running for Senate against Blumenthal, I think. Good dude. Uncovered a lot of voter fraud. Well, apparently tonight he's down in Bridgeport. There's an RTC meeting down in Bridgeport tonight.
Yeah.
And he's down there. He's supposedly going to accuse them live of stealing $213,000.
The Bridgeport RTC.
Yes.
Oh, brother.
And he has some kind of proof of that. He was going to bring it up. He wanted me to go down there and film it. And believe me, I wanted to, but I just had too many conflicts.
Yes.
All right. Well,
I hope somebody did get that on the air down there. I'll have to talk to him. If he was trying to get Polish Agnes to go down there and film that, would have been good. But I'm not sure what he did, how that turned out. $213,000 missing from the RTC budget in Bridgeport, apparently.
All right.
First of all, how does the Bridgeport RTC get $213,000?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Right.
I mean,
there.
most RTCs I know are holding smallish amounts until they do a fundraiser.
Well under $5,000.
Well, I don't know.
No, I mean, I can see 30 to 50, but
Maybe
usually
it's over.
but
Maybe
that's
it's 100
usually being spent from the other RTCs I've seen. That's usually being spent because money's coming in for a thing, and then it's going back out.
unless it's $213,000 over a period of time.
Even then, that's a lot of money for Bridgeport.
A lot of money.
I find that.
I mean, one of the weakest Republican cities we have in the state could have that kind of money.
Is Bridgeport.
I could have the money wrong. I'm out wrong though. He's going to accuse them.
I mean, then again, you know what? It could be that they
maybe it was 23,000. I don't know. That's
well,
still a lot.
It could be like the Bridgeport RTC member who took 3 years to answer me.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish I'd been there. I would have liked to have been there to film that, though. That's the kind of thing we want to do at Common Sense News Entertainment. That's the kind of stuff we want to cover. So,
well, all right. I'm going to throw another one into the pool here. This is for the audience as well. Okay, I was watching a DEF CON presentation on how you can use AI to collect all kinds of information.
oh no, not AI again.
Oh, well, you say, oh, no, not AI again.
No, we'll finish this subject. We should talk about AI in general later, though.
Well, you wanted to talk about it.
I do.
Okay, so there are issues, and then there are tricks, I guess, to reduce the level of error in these LLM pieces of software, to put it nicely. And so this guy, it's downstairs on my laptop, but he made the point that you can, for example, he was demonstrating how you can take a large language model and instruct it to not get private data. Okay? So you're telling it to put up whatever guardrails are needed to prevent getting private data.
That assumes that AI understands what private data is. Because one of the things we've been told about it getting private data is that it doesn't understand public-private. It just goes and grabs stuff.
Okay, so here's the kind of right, I would say. What he was showing was that the program at first recognizes that you're asking questions that it can't answer. What happens is if you persist, you close it out, start a new search, same LLM, eventually it will start to give you the information it was instructed not to give. That's pretty bad. Okay. So he was showing how, here's a person, we're trying to find their passwords. Program saying can't do that. And then he comes back and he tries again. And then they start to get partial information. He gets a passport number and a couple other things. And then by the fourth or fifth try, they were getting passwords. That this program was producing a person's passwords. Sounds like a problem to me. But I'll tell you, let me just here's where I dropped the bombshell. All right. I hope you're listening carefully, Jason.
I'm listening.
Who would not like you to find out about their activities?
The government.
Close. Let's be a little more specific. Let's think of Hartford.
The General Assembly.
The legislators.
It's like a General Assembly, yeah.
Yes.
CGA, yeah.
And there's a good chance they have probably been doing some things they shouldn't be doing. And just to lay it out for consideration, courtesy of what happens in Connecticut, Connecticut Go Nuts is one of the tags tonight. It turns out there are two names. One is Greenblatt, and then there's another name. I can't think of the other one. One or both of them are landlords for 20,000 apartments in Connecticut. Okay? So it turns out that to get to that vaunted state where they're able to acquire these apartments, they got little help from Rosa DeLauro. That's right. The federal government, through her, was supplying these guys with grants that enabled them to acquire these apartments. That's a I know. Is there some people will say, let's see, that's what happened. Yeah. That's Eric seems to be on a single-minded mission tonight about breaking wind, but okay, it's okay. All right. So
what?
yeah, no, it's one of his favorite things. It's a saying, I guess, that's used as a form of, what should we say, salutation. Maybe Eric can explain it better. But he says, break wind. Okay, almost like saying good luck. So the issue here is that these people have engaged in questionable activities in the state of Connecticut. I go back to State Senator Rob Sampson and his comment that you'd be surprised the amount of corruption in Connecticut. And so it tells me that if there's stuff out there just waiting to be found.
Yeah.
Just waiting to be found.
Well,
so
the AI thing is a little disconcerting, not just a little disconcerting.
All right. So what's the part that disconcerts you the most?
I saw a report on in Beijing. They had a marathon every year in Beijing. They have their annual marathon, like all the major cities do, and they have about 12,000 runners. Right. This year, they included 100 robots to run with the people.
Okay.
Now,
did you hear about this, Alan?
I have no robots running in the race in Beijing.
No.
Okay. There are about 100 of them that ran along with the humans in the race. Now, of those 100, about 50 did not finish the race. They either tripped on something and fell, or turned off into the crowd and crashed. Comical, actually. Quite comical. However, the other 50, about approximately 50 of them, did finish the race. One of them finished 12 miles ahead of the first human finisher. 12 minutes, not 12 seconds.
12 miles.
12 miles. They finished the marathon about an hour and 40 minutes, something like that. Way an hour sooner than any human.
That does sound concerning.
Slightly, more than slightly.
All right, but I like to add that so that makes this even more remarkable. What we do not know is whether or not in the course of that race that robot had to change out his battery pack or not.
Well, I can't imagine him being able to do that and still finish 12 miles ahead. If he did,
yeah.
I know that you bring up the need for charging the robots as a check on their power, right?
Right.
I don't think that's anything they're going to be worried about. These days you can take a cell phone and put it on a table on a little plate and charge it in 5 seconds.
Okay.
There's so many ways to generate power, and they're very smart. They'll figure out how to do that. That's not going to be a problem for them.
All right. There was a demonstration, as the Chinese like to do, of a whole bunch of robots in synchronization with each other, replacing their own battery packs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the notion was they would get a signal that tells them the battery's running low, and they would actually reach behind themselves, pull out that battery pack, and then put a fresh one in. Right.
Did that do that during the race? I don't know, but I think these days there probably is enough battery power to get something running for an hour and 45 minutes, right? I would think.
Yeah. Well, I've heard it's a half hour, but I'm sure that's being improved. So yeah, it's sure.
That's my point. So about 5 years from now, when they have their race in Beijing, will they even bother letting the people participate in the race?
All right. So now this is almost like a car race instead. Formula One robot race. All right. Now you got all the same technical challenges of a Formula One race for robots. Yeah. So it becomes a whole other thing then.
But the elephant in the room here is that they're going to be superior to people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not now. It's just in racing, but what about in life? What about in law enforcement? What about in civil rights? What about in economics? What about?
Well, you know where I think people would really get worried about what you're saying?
Where?
Human versus robot karate match.
Why?
You may laugh
useless to them.
What?
Humans will be useless to robots, and if they're superior mentally and physically, we'll be exterminated.
Right. Well, I think the message will be sent when humans start losing in a karate match.
I think that guy that finished 12 miles ahead He's
Yeah,
already got us in a karate match.
of a sort. But when I'm talking about a karate match, I'm talking about having the kind of software that enables rapid decision making.
Oh,
Requires
talking about a real like head-to-head, talking about like Karate Kid stuff. Yeah. Well, remember now, this is only robots. These are this is just in the last year that they've made these kind of advancements. Like these are the very 1.0. These are AI 1.0, 1.2. Once we get to AI 5.0, 6.0, 7.0, this is going to be, we're done for.
All right. Well, sir, I'm
Only
sure.
Question of when.
Hey, Alan,
20 years?
Yep.
Find him a bunker.
What was that?
Can we find Jason a bunker?
It'll be like the Nebuchadnezzar, like the Matrix. We'll be hiding underground, or
it could be. I know somebody who's got a bomb shelter in his basement.
Mm-hmm.
I think you settle in Antarctica because it's too cold for those things down there.
Yeah, last time I saw a picture of it, it was completely flooded out. He's not sure where the water came in from.
Yeah,
but his dad was a surgeon and put money into building a bomb shelter in the Cold War.
No, I don't need a bomb shelter. I'm willing. The captain's willing to go down with the ship, man. I'll fight right at the front lines with everybody else. But we have a real problem. And I'm not being serious.
Then the robot will squash you like a little bug.
I think the front lines are going to be in places we don't expect them to be.
Mm-hmm. Got any examples?
Yeah, our food supply.
Well, you may be right there, because you think about it. During the Civil War, the line was roughly a north-south line, as we've all been taught, but that was because of the agrarian nature of the South and the industrial nature of the North.
Right.
Although I've always kind of felt a little bit of a flaw in that theory, but that's for another time.
Well, that's why states like Kentucky and Tennessee were border states.
Right. Illinois was a border state.
Yeah.
I actually saw an interesting thing on one of the C-SPAN 86 or something, one of the lower channels that nobody ever watches. And it was a history professor who had written a book on Lincoln, talking about the Republican convention where Lincoln was picked as the nominee.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And how and talking about how Lincoln's people had engineered the whole thing because it was held in Chicago. So that was considered home turf for Lincoln.
Right.
But the interesting thing was Lincoln wasn't there because it was considered uncouth for the nominees to show up at the convention.
Interesting. But then there was another little trick, right?
Well, Chicago was a very big place in the 1860s.
But the interesting thing was they said there were, in the south of Illinois, they had farmers who were slaveholders who were completely not interested in the abolitionist movement.
Mm-hmm.
But up in Chicago, no one really cared one way or the other about slavery because it was a city. It was urban.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, but what about the seating arrangements at the convention?
Yes, the Lincoln's people arranged for their people to be seated in the middle and Seward's people to be on either side so that they couldn't discuss among themselves, because they knew which states through a straw poll were going for Seward, and they separated them with all the Lincoln states in the middle.
Another dirty trick. Look, don't think for a minute the Republicans are not capable of dirty tricks.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we don't use enough dirty tricks.
I don't think we use enough dirty tricks. I don't think we have enough dinos, Democrats in name only, that go in and infiltrate their crap.
All right. Well, since you brought that up, what about Virginia?
Oh,
you know what happened in Virginia, right?
I know what happened in Virginia.
Okay.
I think it's good news. In the long run, I think it's good news for Republicans, because we're going to do it in Florida, and we're going to ultimately end up with more seats. This is a victory for them, obviously, but I think it's going to open the door. Somebody should pass a constitutional amendment ending this. You know what really should happen, of course, I'm always Mr. Idealistic here, a constitutional amendment that requires congressional districts, that just further restricts the
on the
redistricting protocol into a mathematical equation that requires, you know what I'm saying?
Well, there's a slight problem with this, and I can explain a little bit of this. I got to observe, I think it was 2 districts redistricting ago in Stamford.
Yeah.
It wasn't the last one, but they did have a city department that does mapping, and they gave them all the data on voter registration and stuff like that. And they came up with, they knew we wanted to keep the 20 districts we had. So they came up with an adjustment to the borders of the districts.
Mhm.
And it was based on I believe they were trying to map or trying to match the general percentages for Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated, all that. So if, let's just say, Stanford was 52% Democrat, they were trying to get 52% Democrat in most districts if they could.
Okay.
I think that was the theory. There was a figure they were trying to get to.
Yeah. Well, in all
Now,
reality, yeah.
But here's the interesting thing that happens. So the math people come up with their figures, and they say, okay, here's where we think the district should be. Well, in my district at the time was 11, and they were going to move my district a block south,
Mhm.
or they were going to move, and that would have taken me out of District 11.
Okay.
I think it was 11, or maybe it was 10. I might have been in 10 at the time.
Mhm.
So it was going to move me it was going to move me out of the district. I was on the RTC at the time, so I would have lost my RTC seat
Right.
because I would no longer reside in the district. Now, the interesting thing was over across town, there was a Democrat who was on the Board of Representatives, and their district was going to move, their line was supposed to move a block to the north. And again, that was going to shut them out of their seat because they were now going to be in a different district. And they were going to lose a seat. And so, sitting in the room, members of both parties, after they had the mathematical equation, then they started looking at who lived where and what we needed to do. And guess what? A deal was made that I kept my RTC seat as long as that Democrat kept their Board of Rep seat.
There you go.
So it starts off as, hey, let's do roughly equal population. Oh, but the parkway's there, and we don't want districts to cross this magical line, or we don't want anyone to have to cross the river to vote.
Right. So this shows the example of the dirty details. Now,
right.
If we could just get back to Virginia for a minute. In that case, what was happening was they had the redistricting map, which they mostly hid from the public, showed that the districts sort of emanated from the major cities in Northern Virginia. So those were the population centers, and then the rest were rural. So the rural areas, which were Republican, were going to be outnumbered by the people who are in the cities in Northern Virginia.
Yep.
And so that was that. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to add one of the other discussions not being had here is how some of these gerrymandering concepts are racist by design.
Yes, they are.
And so that is the basis for a lawsuit. So let us not be surprised for the next piece of news. No sooner did we find out about the results this morning than this afternoon, a Virginia Circuit Court has ruled the results of that election unconstitutional.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, good. They overturned it.
All right. So the fight begins. All right. The fight begins.
Good.
So that ain't over by a long shot. Okay.
So if that judge's ruling in effect truncate the vote for now?
Well, I think what it does is it renders the map, shall we say,
exactly moot, where it was.
Moot. Yeah. And but then whatever the counter is going to be by the Democrat lawyers who are going to disagree with the finding of the circuit court lead to who knows what, another suit,
the United States Supreme Court,
another jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. So
something interesting that I saw today, Nick Freitas, who was a former member or is a former member of the Virginia House of Delegates,
right,
very popular here on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
He just posted he does these short videos where he's on his back porch with a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And two interesting things about it. One, he talks about politics, world affairs, sometimes about his family.
Mm-hmm.
And the coffee cup he drinks out of is usually one that he sells on his website.
Right. Okay.
Today, he had a blank coffee cup. And people were noticing that, hey, wait a minute, you don't have a coffee cup with one of your neat sayings on it. And he announced that this was his last post from that porch.
Oh, okay.
I know. That's exactly the way he did it.
I see.
And he said that it was no longer his back porch. He had sold the house in Culpeper, Virginia, because God was telling him and his family to move somewhere else.
And do we know where that is?
He has not revealed that yet.
Guam.
If I had to guess, I'm going to say working side by side with Scott Pressler.
I'm not sure, but I don't know. But I will say this. What's interesting is that he's got I don't know where his studio is. I always assumed it was in his house, but maybe it's not.
Mhm.
But when he does his long form posts, he's got a pretty well appointed studio he goes from, where it's him, his wife, his producer.
Mhm.
So unless he's going to stay in the area, he's going to be moving and setting up somewhere completely new.
Okay. And then we'll see if it's still Virginia, etc.
Yep. I mean, he talks a lot about homeschooling. He used to talk a lot about the Virginia politics, obviously, when he was a delegate. A lot of people have thought he might run for a congressional seat, but he didn't announce anything for this year.
All right. I just want to bring up this other totally weird thing here. I'm just going to read the headline. Department of Justice subpoenas suddenly withdrawn for John Brennan after Joe Genova joins the team. What do you think?
They had subpoenaed Brennan, and now they're withdrawing the subpoenas?
Yes, but then, so what makes it strange is that Joe Genova is a highly respected prosecutor, a little old. He's 80 years old now. But he has quite the track record for getting the bad guys. And so, a lot of people were saying, woo, stand back. Joe was in town now, man. But no sooner does that happen than the subpoenas are withdrawn. So it's like, what's going on? I don't know.
I mean, my guess is he didn't like the way they were issued and something bigger's coming.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
The procedure wasn't quite up to his liking.
Right.
That makes sense. I serve subpoenas for one of the things I do for a living is serve subpoenas. So I get that every now and then. I'll get a subpoena, an assignment, and then one time when I'm literally on the way there, they say, "Oh no, please come back. We have to draw and send you something else. We got to fix it. Send it back to you." Yeah,
wow.
Happens every now and then, about one out of every 3 or 4 months I get one like that.
Right.
Sometimes it's a clerical error, but other times there's actually legal procedures they want to change.
Yeah, I've heard stories of similar things. I've heard the same thing with arrest warrants and search warrants, where even if they find something that would be in plain view, they'll stop, hold a scene while they went in searching for stolen watches, and they find stolen banknotes while they're in there. They'll stop, secure that, and call a judge and get a second warrant for the banknotes.
Okay.
Even though the banknotes would most likely be admissible.
Right. Oh my goodness. Oh, speaking.
They're doing it to get Brennan on high alert and see what he does.
That would be an interesting one. Yes, I like that.
He's part of the protected nobility. He won't see any justice anyway.
All right. Well, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that.
As long as the deep state has a stranglehold, you're probably right, Alan. But hopefully some of that's breaking apart.
He's got 3 connections to nobility. Number 1, Democrat. That means he never has to face justice. Number 2, intelligence community. That means never has to face justice.
All right.
Number 3, secret Muslim. Never has to face justice.
But hopefully it's never say never again.
Yeah, we'll have to see. In the meantime, though, John Solomon, you've heard of John Solomon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he drops another one tonight in an interview where he suggests, stay tuned, but he says this one isn't going to hit Connecticut just passed the Glock ban. Okay, this is unconstitutional.
Yep.
And it's going to be challenged, okay? But this is just, they don't care. They just waste people's time, waste people's money. Try to get.
I have an interesting question, and I would love to actually chat with a constitutional lawyer about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Banning individual weapons. Why would you ban a Glock?
Because Glocks are scary.
Oh,
but
okay, even more stupid. All right.
Here's the interesting thing I wonder about this. Look, I'm a firm believer that any law that restricts weapons is an infringement and thus unconstitutional.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, we have yet to have a court that has the balls to say the Constitution is the Constitution.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
But that aside, Uh, since we've had the ruling about campaign finance that says corporations are people and
Yeah.
corporations have free speech rights.
Well, the idea that a corporation is a person has been around for it's fundamental
Right.
corporate law. It's
Okay,
not-
so
not new.
look at this. Would not Glock Arms or whatever the company that makes Glocks, wouldn't they be a person?
In the same thinking, yes.
Okay, so a bill against a specific person, wouldn't that be a bill of attainder?
I'm not familiar with the bill of attainder.
It means they can make a law that says murder is illegal. They're not allowed to make a law that says court can't murder people, but
Okay.
everyone else can.
Right.
You can't make a law against a specific person.
All right.
I'm not sure.
With it. All right.
Does this mean if you're the registered legal owner of a Glock that you have to turn it in now?
That's a good question. I would have to think that it has to be grandfathered in. But what do I know? So
Well, hopefully it's struck down, but yeah, otherwise, yeah. I mean,
yeah, AR-15s were banned, and but they grandfathered them in.
Well, and of course, also remember the Colt version was not banned because they were made in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm. All right. Just stuff like that. And then the stuff with the the silencer. Anyway, it gets more depressing with every
Or the
passing.
bump stock or any of these other things.
Yeah.
And what was the kind of grip they were debating? Was it last year or the year before?
Oh, are you talking about the French grip?
No. This was actually a real thing. The brace was an arm brace that you could wear. You wore it on the forearm and attached to the gun, kind of maybe like into a RoboCop kind of thing.
But this was for handguns, though.
Yes, but
yes.
While they were debating whether that turned the handgun into a long gun, or while it turned it into something else, then there were people saying, "Well, this is actually used by disabled people to steady a gun."
Then what happened?
And it was going round and round. There were some pretty interesting, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was a kind of brace, and it was a pretty interesting to listen to some of the congressional hearings.
Mm-hmm. Right.
With the guy who was, I think, like the number two guy in ATF.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Who was desperately trying to defend this ban.
Uh-huh.
And by the way, I believe it was a British grip in Connecticut.
British grip, but you do remember the French grip, right?
I thought it was the British grip, but whatever. I remember the grip.
Oh, there was the French grip. That
was the one that our friend from Norwalk proposed.
Yes, that's right. The suckers went for it. That is just shows how stupid they are. Oh my God.
Do you remember the case when there was some kind of ban going up? And I'm going to say Colorado, but I may have the state wrong.
Yeah.
And the Democrat who was clearly did not know the terminology they were using. So wanted to ban.
Wouldn't be the first time.
I think they wanted to ban clips or something. But thinking that the clip was the ammunition, not the thing that holds the ammunition.
Yes.
And so when somebody brought that up, because I think it might have been an ammunition ban, and they wanted to ban clips.
Okay, but the prize for showing how ignorant you are really does go to our senator loser, Chris Murphy. Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. He said, "Oh yeah, that sound that a gun makes when it goes off, yeah, that's a safety feature."
Oh yes. So this Colorado case, I remember when they were talking about that, and somebody brought up that a clip wasn't ammunition.
Yes. Okay.
The aide who was helping with the speech said, "Oh, you're right. The representative didn't mean clips; they meant magazines."
Just, anyway, enough of this.
It's the enemy within. It's the end of America.
Well, it's funny. I have a pin somewhere that says the Constitution goes too far. It should have stopped with Congress shall make no law.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
And when you think about it, I've sometimes joked the last people that should be making laws are lawmakers, because they will make a law based on, well, we all remember Schoolhouse Rock. We all remember I'm Just a Bill.
Right.
And when they're in the first steps and they're talking about, a group of people got together and said, there ought to be a law. and they called their representative. And he said, "You're right. There ought to be a law." Well,
Okay.
I mean, there are examples where probably not too much fodder for this one, but I could give you an example where a group of lawmakers got together because some people lobbied them for something in Connecticut, and they did exactly what they were asked for and put this law in. And on its surface, it makes sense. They never repealed the old law, so for a brief couple of years, there were two conflicting laws.
Yes. And
We still in Connecticut have two different standards for operating a motor vehicle.
what are those two standards?
Well, if you're drinking and you're sitting in the driver's seat and the key's in the ignition, you're driving.
Oh, all right.
Doesn't matter whether the car is stopped. Doesn't matter whether it's turned on. Doesn't matter whether it's in a parking lot or on a highway.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in the driver's seat and the key's in the ignition, you're driving.
All right.
Now, if you're talking on your cell phone and you're pulled off to the side of the road and you're sitting in the driver's seat in a running car on the side of the highway, you are not driving. Because for the purposes of distracted driving, as long as you pulled over, you're good. But for the purposes of operating under the influence, if you pulled over, you're still driving.
Yes. So how long did it take them to realize that they were being inconsistent?
They haven't yet.
Haven't yet.
Those two laws are still on the books.
All right. Anyway, I just want to do a quick experiment here. Oh God, where did you? What?
Yeah, you know what? We have. Here's the thing: we have an enemy amongst us within, and we're losing. We're losing our war against the Marxists and communists. The free world is losing. 50 years ago, we were shooting communists in trees out in Vietnam. Today, they're running New York. They have the mayor of New York, the mayor of Los Angeles, the mayor of
Boston.
many of our major cities. They're taking over our legislature in Connecticut. We are being overrun, and we're losing.
Uh-huh.
And as long as we keep looking at it like just our political opponents, then we're going to keep losing.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be gone. The free world will be gone, and a new dark ages will set in on the earth again, like what happened in 476 AD.
Are you trying to inspire?
I mean, we gotta wake up and treat this for what it is. These people, Chris Murphy is a traitor. The man. Not only should the man not be a senator, the man should be behind bars.
Yes. So
Let's start thinking about it like that and start doing what's supposed to be done. We're done for.
Mm-hmm.
We're done
But
for.
part of the problem is too, we're concentrating on being nice. I saw a post on X today.
Point.
Should I'm trying to think of the way it was
Alex
phrased.
Cora is the manager of the Red Sox still.
Should Chris Murphy resign immediately from his position?
Oh. Yeah.
And the answers were yes, definitely yes.
Well, yeah, if he's supposed to be
And
behind
hell
bars,
yes.
then yeah.
No, he should not resign, and I'll tell you why. Resigning lets him leave on his term. No, he should be expelled. It should be very clear that you were forced out of the Senate. And he should be charged and convicted.
Right.
But not, well, let him resign. Look at Swalwell. When the Democrats finally turned on him and decided he was not useful to them anymore, all of a sudden they let all the skeletons they'd been hiding in the closet out. But again, he was allowed to resign. Speaker Johnson, who couldn't wait to minimize the Republican majority and get rid of Santos, and don't get me wrong, Santos is a very strange individual.
Yeah, he's for
creepy, definitely a liar. But you know what? If you look at the voting record while he was there, he was a solid Republican vote. He might have been the most solid vote we had. As weird guy as he was. But we had to get rid of him.
Out there. It's okay with me.
Yeah, we had to get rid of the guy. Got to get rid of him. Got to get rid of him. Oh, we have a majority of 3. We can get that down to 2 or 1. But when they get hit with all the evidence that suddenly gets released on Swalwell, hey, we think you should maybe write a resignation letter. Would that be okay for you? Because we don't want to traumatize you. And by the way, here's your pension.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He gets a congressional pension, which first of all, Congress shouldn't get pensions. But
well, insider trading. Don't forget the insider trading.
Well, the insider trading, I personally don't think we can do much about, because I don't think you can make a law that says a group of people cannot invest money.
Well, when Jimmy Carter became president, he had a considerable set of assets which were put into a
trust.
Blind trust.
Right.
Marty Stewart went to jail, so
Okay. Congressional members can have their assets put into a blind trust just as well. Okay, so there's no benefit to allowing this situation to continue.
Oh no, I agree. There's no benefit to allowing it. It's dirty as all hell. But I don't think we can make a law that says there's now another class of people in our supposedly non-caste system country. We have the caste that's allowed to. You're allowed to invest in whatever you want. Court, you can, Jason, I can, we can all invest. Oh, well, I'm sorry, you ran for Congress? Oh, you're not allowed to invest anymore.
Okay, it sounds like a reasonable argument, but I have to remind you once again, Jimmy Carter, his assets went into a blind trust. And I'm pretty sure the same thing happened to Reagan. Pretty sure the same thing happened to Trump.
Trump, I know, divested. He removed himself from all his roles within the Trump organization, and his sons took over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to other, but again, his investments were all, or mostly, corporate investments.
Yeah, well, they would still, his decisions could clearly still impact
Sure,
his investments in those corporations. So you got to have a blind trust.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you tell me I can't invest. I simply move all my investments over to my wife's name. You don't think I'm going to tell her, hey, invest, buy ABC company?
Yeah.
Well, we would hope that there'd be more stringent rules than that tell you what you can and cannot do.
And if we have to make a bunch of blind trusts, well, guess what? We'll develop in D.C. a trust administrator class, just like the lobbyist class.
I don't have a problem with people making good investments and getting wealthy. The problem for me is that they're not beholden to these things. It's
absolutely.
It's what their vote is really at the end of the day. So, I don't honestly care if somebody makes good investments and makes a lot of money. I'm all for people getting rich. But the bottom line is, you can't be beholden to these things. You got
I unfortunately think it's a chicken and an egg thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I'll take an opportunity, but you're going to vote your way.
Hey, he just checked in with Look Into Rosa's husband. To your point.
Oh, yes.
Good point.
Okay. Yeah, was it Mr. Greenberg? Is that his name? I believe.
There was just a thing on X about that.
Oh, really?
Yep. I'll let me see if I can find it for you here. It was in my Connecticut chat room.
Welcome to a reality. All right, gentlemen, I'm gonna have to cut it for tonight. For me, it's getting late, and I got a lot to do.
Yeah, tomorrow's another working day.
And I got to go to Fairfield in the morning.
We didn't even get to talk about the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Oh, yes.
Which has always been one step away from being a terrorist organization in their own right.
Oh, I'd say they brought themselves one step closer.
Well, that's my point. When we have Democrats now openly rooting for Iran in the war, at what point, it's not a large leap to go from there to them actually aiding and abetting and committing acts of war against the United States right here within our borders. I mean, you can't, it's only just a small step away from, some boats got through. Awesome.
All right. Well, I would say that's worth exploring in depth and detail, but not tonight.
Not tonight.
Yes. So
let me just
talk about AI.
Just read you something here from somebody on X named Bethany O'Leary.
Okay.
Rosa DeLauro, the purple-haired, finger-waggling 83-year-old congresswoman who's been in D.C. since 1991 and still screaming into microphones with that permanent pissed-off scowl like it's her full-time job. Married to big-time Dem pollster Stan Greenberg, both of them ranking in elite money while she lectures everyone about working families. Funny, I always thought she was, well, never mind. We know who wears the pants in that marriage. She's the epitome of the liberal white woman. Blue hair since before TikTok, permanent scowl, and zero accountability. Remember when Hurricane Irene hit her Connecticut district? She was chilling in a luxury Italian hotel. The Hartford Courant literally gave her an F. Her response? No apology for taking a vacation. 35 plus years of this, and what do her voters get? More spending, more rage, more memes. America's favorite out-of-touch Democrat, Grandma. Changed my mind.
Yeah, well, her crown jewel is New Haven, and look at what kind of condition they're in. Right?
And we're going to talk about the debate tomorrow too.
The first reply comes from Tony D'Angelo. While agreeing with you entirely, there's a large part of this you're not getting, and it's not your fault. You have to be in Connecticut to get this, particularly in Greater New Haven, where I was for many years. Yes. Rosa DeLauro is a money machine. She sits on appropriations with fellow bats Nancy and Debbie. and
That's
she
right.
gets her hands on the money, honey, and throws bazillions to be wasted on useless make work, union make work, and feel good projects. She also has the luxury for years of a senior staff that was incredibly efficient in consultant services or constituent services. They were professionals and did the job very well, and hated her, but they got the job done. And opposition, the Connecticut GOP opposes her with the force of a good feather duster. Prominent Republican state Senate leader told us for many years that Rosa on appropriations is good for Connecticut. That's all is the truth and why she remains.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, tomorrow we got to talk about the debate, though.
Which one?
The one coming up that the one we're organizing.
Okay.
The one we have created.
All right. Well, yes. So we'll help promote it here. Yes.
Yes, we will. And there's intricacies too. So a lot of
we're still all right. Promotion part. We've been talking about this. Yeah, we want to make sure that each of these things are moving along, and we're just going to have to act like good shepherds. All right.
Yep. Okay then.
Okay. All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Common Sense News and Entertainment. Thank you to News.